opportunities versus appointment is convicting, but such a spectacular lens to look at every opportunity and every choice on your path, just asking yourself, is this just another opportunity or is this an appointment?
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
Welcome to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast, Chiropractic's #1 business podcast. I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
And I'm Dr. Stephen Franson.
It's an honor for us to be with you today, Dr. Stephen. Always a privilege and honor for me to be in the studio with you. I know you are a world traveler, about to hit the road. And, I think this is a great topic and subject matter for us in terms of our topic for today, talking about an opportunity versus an appointment, how we discern and decide how we're going to invest our limited resources of time, energy, focus, and money as leaders. Hey, if you're a leader listening to this, you are a leader listening to this. And oftentimes, Dr. Stephen, we as leaders, we struggle with overwhelm. We struggle because there are so many opportunities and yet so little time, so little margin, so we have to be so wise and discerning in our choices. And today, I find this more than ever, Dr. Stephen, before, we are constantly being shown, this opportunity, you could do this, you can invest in this, you could be doing this. I mean, and as a leader, as an entrepreneur, you're kind of hardwired to be looking for, to blaze a new trail, to see what's the newest possible thing and go down that road. That's how God made you. You're naturally hardwired like that. So you have to have the discipline muscle. You have to exercise your strength. You have to have wisdom. And Dr. Stephen, this goes back to what we lead every conversation with. And whenever we're troubleshooting or solving anything, it's always start with the question, vision. What does success look like to you? What are you trying to accomplish? And we know that success means alignment, right? And alignment means that there's a alignment between your vision story. What does success look like to you with your core values and your behaviors? That's where alignment is. And that's what the definition of success is, which is why only you truly know if you are in alignment, because it's your vision story, your core values, your behaviors. And we take ownership of our lives and we can be in alignment. That's true success. And so today, Dr. Stephen, I think we're going to focus in on this challenge that all of you face as leaders. I know we face each and every day, which is how to say yes and also how to say no. And Dr. Stephen, I'm looking forward to digging in today.
A friend of mine said the fastest way to hell is to sit in church and you hear something that has to do with your spiritual walk and immediately translate it into business. And I'm like, that can't be true. I don't subscribe to that. I just don't. I won't do it because it happens to me every single Sunday, right? And I think it's just part of inspiration. They say, do you hear God? And you know what? This is how he speaks to me. So my pastor said something that really landed. So it landed so hard to me. What I'll do is I'll reach for my phone and I open up my notes on my phone and I drop the bomb into there and I just put my phone away. And usually I'll get one of these from my wife and then I'll get one of these from my daughter. And it's just like they have me surrounded. They know what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, that was a message from God, right? And the quote that I grabbed here recently was, God wants us to say no to most opportunities so we can say yes to all of our appointments. Man, I was like, it's exactly what I needed to hear today. And I'm guessing I ain't alone on this one, right? So I'm one of those people like you, Dr. Pete. I need to stop doing lists, not to start doing lists, right? So I need to constantly be using whatever ounce of restraint I can summon, because we have this pathological optimism where we feel like our eyes are bigger than our stomachs on almost all things. I know that entrepreneurs and business owners, we don't have hunger pains. We have indigestion, right? So we don't starve, we drown, and all of these things are just truths that apply to every one of us. Like I've not found the exception here, where as soon as you start this conversation, everybody's like, yeah, man. And I think it gets worse, over time, at least to this point in my life. Right. So I'm hoping that there's a hill that I'm going to get up over the top of, where I become more mature and have more wisdom, and I can show greater restraint and greater discernment. But I know that I'm developing that muscle. Right. So I've gone from subconscious incompetence to at least conscious incompetence, and I'm developing conscious competence. I'm hoping one day I'll have subconscious competence and mastery on this one, but I literally have to check myself and be able to say, okay, so is this an opportunity or is this an appointment? Right? So the appointment is what God seeds in your heart. Like you have a sole purpose. You are here for a very specific reason in each season of your life. It's like, this is your purpose. And I don't think the purpose really changes much over a lifetime. I really don't. It's been my experience. Like my purpose has always been to restore health. My mission changes. That mission changes, and, shifting from full-time clinician, chiropractor, working with patients directly to becoming a coach and a leader in the profession, where my mission changed from me being hands-on to quite simply helping more people help more people. Like that was a mission shift, but the purpose is exactly the same, as to restore health. So opportunities versus appointment is convicting, but such a spectacular lens to look at every opportunity and every choice on your path. Just asking yourself, is this just another opportunity or is this an appointment?
It's good. I think it's for all of us who are listening to you share this, and I'm so glad that you took out your phone and received the message. I feel like it's very similar to if you come to one of our immersion events, and I share this a lot with those who are, been around the block quite a bit with us, and they've been there and done that. You look at the notebook of someone who's been to comes to their first immersion, it's 16 pages of notes. You look at the notebook of somebody who's been to 10 immersions, 12 immersions, 16, 18 immersions. It's like one page with about 5 key things that they know that they need to put into place and take away. And, that's it. Like you have to be willing to listen and go through all of the things to say, that one was for me. That one was for me. That one was for me. And that's what you did there. And it's an example to me of opportunity versus appointment, even in just the context of information, when you can listen through an entire message and you can pick out the one thing that it's like, hey, that's the thing for me. And you guys probably do that as you listen to this podcast. I hope you do. I hope, because if you listen to everything that we say every time and you're like, I have to do all of those things, it could be overwhelming. But what if there was one thing, you're like, yeah, Dr. Steven said this one thing. He asked this one question. He presented this one scenario. He gave us this one little perspective, and that's what I needed. And I'm going to work on that for the next week until the next podcast, for example. That to me is like, that's the level of discipline and restraint that we need. And that's the same level of discipline and restraint and discernment that we need when we're looking at our schedules, when we're looking at our lives, those opportunities versus appointments. And I know, that this not only applies, Dr. Steven, to our professional lives, but our personal lives, our whole lives. And what are the things that you can say no to so that you can say yes? And oftentimes, and I'll give you an example, it's the first candidate that comes in for the associateship that you've been waiting, you've been on it's been like 6 months, you've had nobody. Finally, one person comes and you're just like, well, I feel like I just need to hire this person because we haven't had anybody, and I need an associate. Like right now, I needed one yesterday. I needed one 6 months ago, and I finally have a candidate. So we're just gonna force the function. We're just gonna get them going. We're gonna get them started because I think it's gonna be okay. No, they're not like, they don't check all the boxes, but I'm willing to compromise. That's opportunity versus appointment. It's just that wasn't the right fit. Why do we know that? Well, because in 3-6 months, the relationship ends and you're right back to square one again. And so many of us have been in situations like that where it's like, We had an opportunity, took the opportunity, but it wasn't the appointment. Meaning it wasn't the right thing to do. It wasn't the very best. That was the question I asked God all the time, Dr. Stephen, which is, God, what is the very best you have for me? Is this the best? Is this the very best you have for me? Because I just want the very best, and so to be able to have that mindset that it's like the principle of chiropractic. So many people settle for so much less by going to other practitioners. When they show up to a chiropractor, it's like, and I always had this, mindset for every new patient that came into my office. I said, you've been settling for so much less than what's possible for you.
Sure.
Like with subluxation in your nervous system, in your spine, and the effect it's having on your nervous system and your body's inability to heal and function properly, and inability to adapt to all these stresses in your life, because of that and all the places you've gone, you have settled for so much less than what's possible. And you are about to enter into a experience that's going to radically change your life forever. And it's so simple. And then you're going to be blown away because you're going to say, this is too simple. And it is, but that's the appointment. Think about how many opportunities you had to treat your symptoms, but you had one appointment to get to the root cause. Right. And that's it. Like you had to search it out. You had to search it out I love the quote in Proverbs. It says, it's the glory of God to conceal a matter, the glory of kings to search it out, to find out like what it is. What's the real truth? What's the crux of this? That's the story of so many of your patients who show up. They have all these other choices, yet they found you. They chose you. They made that decision. It's the greatest decision they're ever going to make in their healthcare in their life, was making that decision. And yet so many who never got to choose that. That's the appointment. That was the appointment. And I told my team, every single new patient that comes in, I said, you have to tell them they're in the right place. Remind them like they're in the right place and they belong here, because the chances of them getting here, the odds are not in their favor. So if they came, this is an appointment. I believe it's a divine appointment. Now, can't be everybody's chiropractor. I know everybody needs one, but I can't be everyone's chiro. But man, we certainly position ourselves to say, but if you're here, we believe that we're supposed to be. And until you tell us no, and we tell you no, we want this to be a yes, right? Dr. Stephen, this is such a powerful, simple, but powerful thing for us as leaders. So if this is 2025 and you're listening to this episode and you find yourself, as Dr. Stephen described, drowning, this is time for you to just take a pause and really reflect on, okay, am I more inundated with opportunities than I am appointments? What is the current status? If you looked at your schedule this week, this next month, how many of the things in your schedule, these are appointments aligned with your divine purpose? How many of these are opportunities that you've started to pursue, but are they really fully where you need to be investing?
A couple of words just jumped off the page as I was listening to you there. So two specifically. The word appointment, right? And choice, because you were just talking about a chiropractic appointment, a new patient appointment, right? A regular office visit appointment. Like, how many appointments this week? If this message really lands with you today, which I really hope it does, maybe we're going to start hearing the word appointment a little bit different, right? So when somebody has an appointment with you, that's where you're going to come together. The two of you have an appointment together. Mm-hmm. The other word used was choice, which seems to be the theme that we just keep coming, like your word for the year is margin. My word for the year is optionality, right? So personnel, these are words that have at their root choice, right? So we're choosing to create margin in our life, not leave margin in our life, create margin in our life, right? So listen, if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. Mm-hmm. So if you are not actively trying to create margin in your life, you'll be busy. Right? Those are your only two choices. I'm actively choosing to create margin in my life, or the enemy will make you busy. The universe is heavy. You got a lot of people clamoring for, and competing for your time, energy, focus, and money. And here's my experience. There's 4 seasons to a chiropractic career: launch, build, scale, and exit. When we talk about choice, as the CEO, our job is to marshal the limited resources of our team, our business, of ourselves. The limited resources are time, energy, focus, and money. And as you go through these seasons and launch, you're going to find that there's going to be one of those resources that are going to be more scarce, which makes it more valuable by nature, right? We're all economists, right? So you ain't got nothing but time, focus, and energy, but you ain't got no money, right? So all of a sudden when you're in launch, money is the number one scarce resource, right? So that's what you really associate with, man, I've got to manage my resources right. Yeah, but then when you get to build, what ends up happening is your time is what becomes, you're an owner operator. You only got so many minutes in a day in a week, right? So you've got to recognize that the limiting factor, the limiting resources, the limiting reagent here is your time. You're the sole provider. You're the sole practitioner. So you better get that schedule right, right? So you better get your priorities right. So now time gets pushed to the top, right? Because you're finally making some money. You got focus and you got energy, right? So, but time all of a sudden becomes really scarce. And we got to become very strategic with how we schedule and very clear on our priorities. Then you move to scale. When you get into scale, it's your energy that matters, right? So as there's going to be a lot of particle movement, right? So, and one thing I know is the business is a reflection of the energy, especially the energy of the leader, right? So you better make sure you get your health right, you get your head right, you get your heart right, right? So you got to make sure that you are fit. Leading a business is a question of fitness, right? So you got to get that energy right, right? So, and as you move to exit, scale to exit, that build it to sell it season of your life, it's about your focus. Making sure you get your focus right. That's going to be the thing. That's what's going to take you down, right? So when you start getting distracted, right, which is like, there's going to be the busier you get, the bigger you get, the more successful you are. Fill in that, whatever the quotes, air quotes are there. The more successful you are, the more opportunities come your way. Geometrical increase in opportunities coming your way. Okay. So I have probably four or five investment opportunities brought onto my desk every month now, right? So I'm literally wrestling 3 LOIs right now, trying to decide if this is something that is aligned with my purpose, that I can be best in the world at, and will drive my financial machine. It's like, and these are just investments, like talking about investing money in time, energy, focus, and money. If it requires all of those things, I better absolutely make sure that it sits right in the center of that hedgehog concept. Is this in line with my purpose? Can I be the best in the world at this? And does this drive my financial machine? Jim Collins's work helps you discern that. But if you're just even doing passive investments, man, I know that everybody has their own tolerance to this, right? It's almost like I'm not talking about risk tolerance. I'm talking about almost distraction tolerance. I have very little distraction tolerance. Like, I've got a sweet spot. I know what God's called me to do. I know what my purpose is. I know what I can be the best in the world at. And I know what drives my financial engine. And that's where I'm going to lean in with my investments. I'm not going to get distracted by, oh, there's a good opportunity. Maybe I'll buy a car wash. Maybe I'll buy a laundromat. Maybe I'll I get these rental properties. Are you kidding me? Personally, I have an aversion to the distraction, not the risk. I have an aversion to the distraction. Can you make it look right on paper? Yes. Am I saying that I am not, let's use the term everybody uses, diversified in my investments? Okay, so I love what Uncle Warren says about this, like Warren Buffett, is diversification is a hedge against stupidity or ignorance. It means that you don't know what you're doing, so you're going to spread out all your risk, and hopefully you won't get too beat up, right? So it's a hedge against ignorance, right? So I would rather have my investment portfolio be a representation of my expertise portfolio. My investment portfolio, if you look at it, it's representative of my experience and my expertise portfolio, where I have influence, as opposed to saying, hey, I'm just going to push my chips in over here because there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity that really looks sexy, okay? But I don't have any experience there. I don't have any expertise there, okay? And I don't have any influence there. That, to me, I have an aversion to that. Now, that's not saying I'm not in the stock market. We're in the S&P 500. Thank God we went in heavy early on when I didn't know better. I'm going to put that in air quotes, didn't know better. I'm very grateful we did that, right? So that's an awesome thing. I'm not funding it right now, right? Yes, we have whole life insurance that we invested in early on. I'm very glad that we did that. That made sense to me as a business owner to be able to use infinite banking. That made sense to me. So that was an investment, but that's passive. I'm not involved in that at all. No mind share, no time, no energy, no focus, just my money. Because I used the money that was left over, listen to me, left over after I had maximized the intelligent investing I could do in my businesses at the time. I first made sure that I invested in my businesses first, where I'm going to have the greatest ROIC, the greatest return of invested capital is going to come from businesses I own in my expertise that's in line with my purpose and I have influence over. Once I've optimized that and I can no longer intelligently justify investing more in my business, with the other money, I don't just increase my lifestyle, I invest in passive investments that make sense with my vision story. Dr. Pete, we've got to make sure we differentiate opportunities from appointments so we always have the time, energy, focus, and money that we need to optimize our appointments.
Please stick around for more business insights from this week's bonus interview with our remarkable success partner dedicated to helping you more successfully help more people. Enjoy.
Hello, remarkable CEOs. I'm Coach Dr. Eric DiMartino here from TRP, and I'm excited to be in studio today with Dr. Andrew White from Alignco. Alignco is one of our remarkable success partners, and we just love and appreciate our remarkable success partners because they help us further our mission and helping more people help more people. So welcome to the podcast, Dr. Andrew.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Eric. It's great to see you.
Yeah, you as well. So please, take a few minutes to introduce yourself to the audience and help them know a little bit about your story.
So I'm from Michigan originally, just like Dr. Eric. It's where the best chiros, best of the best. That's where we are in Mitten State. And so I live in Holland, Michigan, which is on the West Coast. And I grew up in a town called Jackson. I got into chiropractic because my mom is an opiate addict. She became an addict from a workplace injury. She worked at the University of Michigan's hospital when I was a kid. And she got a back surgery that failed. And so that was a big reason why I wanted to go into healthcare. I realized when I was pre-med that I developed a strong aversion to drugs and surgery. So I ended up going into chiropractic. Early in my career, because I realized I was passionate around the opiate crisis. So I did some lobbying through some of the like ACA and ICA and DC, trying to push legislative reform to improve access to healthcare for Americans, and specifically with chiropractic and conservative treatment. And I had some good success doing that, but I was frustrated that things weren't moving the way I hoped. So then I ended up coming back to Michigan, originally partnered with a doc in Grand Rapids who was incredibly successful, helping them to open more clinics. And then ended up, even though we were having success, I was just frustrated that we were meeting patients late all the time. Like my mom, who had surgeries, been on drugs, and they would always say, man, I wish I would have met you guys sooner. And when I would ask why they didn't act sooner, they would usually say either they didn't have the money or they were too busy with time. And so I had read some case studies in chiropractic school about businesses that developed robust wellness programs and some of the results they had seen. So that in 2019, I had hired some assistants to help me dig into data around that was available in the United States around healthcare costs and how much chiropractic could help mitigate some of the fees and costs for employers specifically. So that way we can create some software to help the employers see the value in investing in chiropractic for their staff, and then use that to try and sell wellness programs that included chiropractic. So I launched that company in 2020. We had some success with some small manufacturing companies, grew in 2021. 2022, we launched what we call our mobile units, which are mobile x-ray. We actually do all the diagnostics on site. And the business model was we would sell these contracts to employers, and then we would either hire doctors or subcontract doctors that were near the business. And so for chiropractors who wanted to get into corporate wellness and wanted to become like a company's chiro and get paid to market their clinic and pay to just employees, we were the brokers to essentially do that for them. And then I most recently, because we were getting sold often by insurance brokers the last few years, I had heard about some tax advantage wellness plans that were being sold by insurance companies that were allowing employers to use tax dollars to offer different health benefits. So I worked for about 18 months to get my company, Alignco, bundled into one of those plans. And that launched about 8 weeks ago now. And so now we're the first tax advantage wellness plan in the United States that includes chiropractic. So now employers can actually use tax dollars to get chiropractic paid for their team members twice a month. It's an incredibly powerful product. I'm very proud of it. And so we're selling that nationally today. And so, again, that's kind of my story. My passion is, I think God has called me to I thought when I started hiring associates that I realized that they were better than me in some ways with patient care. And so I've realized or believed that God has called me to find the best chiropractors in the United States and just give them another vertical to treat more people by selling direct contracting to employers. So that way we can just help Chiro serve more people. And then our 10-year goal is to get 10,000 clinics in our network. And if we can get 1 to 3 contracts for every one of those clinics, we'd be serving about 1 million people a week in the United States. And so that's the kind of the big vision of what we're pushing for and kind of how I got here.
Love that. And yeah, full disclosure to listeners, I'm a client of Dr. Andrews. We're onboarding right now with his program, and there's a lot to it. But his team does an amazing job in supporting you through each step of the process. And yeah, I just love the fact that there's so many tax incentives out there for different
Yep.
things that want to be promoted, and wellness is a big thing right now.
Yes.
And I don't think chiropractic has ever been able to really tap into these things in the
Correct.
past, but now we can. And
Yes.
so it's just a great way to get chiropractic out to the masses and
Correct.
save a lot of money in the process. And
Yes.
like I said, there's a lot of details to this, but by utilizing this, you can actually save a ton of money in taxes for your employees. There's so many benefits I'm sure Dr.
Yes.
Andrew will speak to here in the future, but it's just been a great experience so far. So I definitely would recommend working with Alignco to all our doctors out there, because it's really it's a win-win. You can't lose with the scenario.
Yeah.
It's simply
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just taking advantage of those tax incentives that the government puts out there, and why as chiropractors can't we take advantage of that as well? So I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Yep.
So we always talk about businesses exist to solve problems for people, right?
Yep.
So what is specifically as Alignco? What specific problems do you guys solve for chiropractic and chiropractic owners?
Yeah, so I would say that the main one that we've been solving for years is acquisition, right? So every chiropractor I know runs a ton of marketing efforts to drive new leads in the door, lunch and learn, screening events, Google ads, Facebook ads, internal referrals, special events, and they all work, but they all cost money. And there's labor costs, there's ad costs, etc. And so the awesome part about corporate contracts is that there's no fee to work with us. We sell on as long as you're a good fit for us, we're 100% commission-based salespeople. We go sell on your behalf. When we land a contract, you get it, and then we pay you to process those new patients. And so whether we're sending them to your clinic in a near site contracts and then encouraging you to close them for additional care, or whether we're paying you to send one of your doctors on site into a bigger corporation, either way, it's just a way to add more leads to your clinic and also a new vertical for revenue generation. As far as the second thing I'd say we solve now that we're in this tax product, we also are helping, I think, with retention for employers or for chiros, because if we set up this tax advantage wellness plan for your clinic, what's called a grand plan, like Dr. Eric was alluding to, your employees get access to some other health benefits outside of just getting adjusted. We can now pay you to adjust your team members, which you're likely doing for free. And if your employees participate, they'll see an increase in their take-home pay. So my average, we're launching this cross country right now. Our average chiropractor, like associates that we're seeing cross country, are making around $150 to $200 more per month just to participate in these plans. And then CAs and managers, office managers, we're seeing somewhere between $100 to $150 more per month in their take-home pay. So if you imagine being able to tell your associates and your other staff, hey, we're going to offer, a lot of offices don't have the money to offer like amazing, sexy benefits, but because we're using tax dollars to subsidize some of this stuff, imagine, if you're listening to this, I can save you money in your taxes as an owner. I can pay you just your team members. And then I can increase your benefits to your team members through this grant plan, and also increase their take-home pay by thousands of dollars a year just to participate. Like, that's an amazing thing to be able to offer a lot of CAs and associates. And so again, I think that's like a tangential thing that we're now helping to solve. But I think the biggest one is the lead acquisition that we're helping chiros with.
I love that. And just so listeners are clear on this, because I was confused at first when I started working with you. These savings he's talking about, it's not a tax credit. Like
No.
you file your tax return, then you get it back. No, you literally every single paycheck, you see less in your FICA taxes for all of your
Exactly.
employees, all of your team
Correct.
members. It's pretty
Correct.
amazing.
Yep.
So it's an immediate savings.
Yes.
So, we always talk about ROI too with our docs, right? We always
Yes.
talk about how it doesn't matter what you spend for something, it's what the return on investment that you get. The nice
Yes.
thing is for your program, there is no cost for us.
Yes.
But what kind of ROI can a CEO expect to get from investing in your product and services? Obviously, you talk to the immediate tax savings, but what are some of the other benefits that they'll get from this?
Yeah, when we implement the tax program for your clinic, it depends. Your savings will depend on how many staff you have. So the more staff you have, the more you're going to save in taxes, obviously, and the more that you're going to get paid to adjust your team. Most clinics are saving somewhere to your, because again, this is all coming out. There's the fees associated are coming out of your taxes, so like there is no cost out of pocket. So the net savings to an average clinic, just to incorporate one of these plans, depending on the size of your clinic, on the small end is like $4,000 to $6,000 a year to your net income as an owner. Some of the bigger clinics, it's 10 to 15,000 or more to your bottom line just to offer the benefit. As far as our corporate contracts, again, it depends on the appetite that you have and how much you can handle. So I'll give you an example, a real world example. Like I own a private clinic here in Michigan still. I'm not in day-to-day patient care anymore, but I've been selling these contracts from my clinic for years now. And it represents the last year, $250,000 of income for my clinic. I just sold another contract for my clinic to a 300-person employer in Holland. And with our close rates, and that's going to be a near site contract where all those employees can come to our clinic, and then we're going to pay Allineco will pay my clinic twice a month to adjust them, and then they can close them for additional care. Looking at our close rates, that one contract will easily generate another couple $100,000 in revenue for our clinic. And so it just depends on the size of the contract, and also again the like how much. We do a questionnaire on the front end. We're working with offices to understand your capacity, so we're never outselling you as far as not selling a contract that's too big. But again, in general, our goal would be in the first year that we can help offices drive tens of thousands of dollars more in revenue on the low end if they're only able to handle some small contracts. But nonetheless, between the setting up the wellness program for the office and then selling a couple of contracts locally, our goal is in the 40 on the low end to $50,000-$60,000 in revenue for the year, or obviously more if the office has the ability for a little more volume.
Yeah, that's great. And so, I hope the listeners are getting this, that your company is literally going to pay you to adjust your team members, which
Yes.
I should say you guys aren't. The federal government is essentially paying you
Yeah.
CEOs out there to adjust your team members.
Yes.
And they're also, Alignco is going to be marketing you to your companies in your area to
Yes.
promote how great chiropractic is, to send them into your clinic. So you
Yes.
can, they'll pay for some of their adjustments as well. And it costs us
Yes.
$0 to do this, right?
Correct. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
there's no fee. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a complete no-brainer. So I love what you're doing. I love your passion. Coming out of that painful story about you and your mom, and
Yep.
from pain to purpose and passion is how we, it's put you on this mission where you're going to help a ton of chiropractors help a lot more people, right? We always
Yep.
talk about that's our mission as TRP. We want to help docs help more people, and you're doing that to a T. And I think you're going to have a huge impact nationwide. So I'm excited to see as you guys grow the impact that you're going to have.
Thank you, Eric.
So, lastly, what's the next step? I'm sure a lot of listeners are going to be like, I got to learn more about this. What's the next step for our listeners to get in contact with you or to learn more?
Yeah, so there's really two ways, and I'll give Dr. Eric the links. You can put them in the show notes. But our website is Alignco, so ALIGNCO.life, LIFE. So you can email us at hello@alignco.life. Or if you go to alignwellcertified.com, that's the landing page that goes over the ways that you can join our network and the ways that we can sell you. Again, the process is very straightforward. We start with just a questionnaire asking about your clinic just to make sure you're a good fit for us. If you're a good fit, then again, there's no fees for us to sell you. It's just a way for us to understand what you're looking for and make sure you're a good fit. And then again, we can run free quotes to set up the wellness plan for your clinic or start marketing you and or market you to other businesses. And again, I'll end with this. I would just like to encourage, if you're listening, every chiropractor I talk to, they're passionate about chiropractic, at least the ones, especially in TRP, you got into this profession for a reason. And so again, I would encourage you, for listening, if this has stirred something in you, just to reach out to us. We would love to support you. We would love to be able to, again, sell you to local businesses. You're likely changing lives and having these miracles happen in your clinic every single day. And what we do an amazing job of is selling those miracles to businesses so they see the value and sending their employees to you for more. And again, we're in an amazing time right now with the whole MAHA movement. I think there's more than ever, chiropractic is positioned to be able to make a massive impact in healthcare. And we just have to answer the call. We have an opportunity. And so it's on all of us to not shy away from that opportunity and to just step up and serve more. And I think it's going to be really fun next few years.
I agree, man. Very well said. And it's funny when we first started talking about this last year, I kept thinking like, what's the catch? There's got to be a catch. And you're like, there is no catch. The
There is no
government
catch.
has tax incentives. There is no catch. I'm like, okay, this is too good to be true. So I
Yeah.
appreciate all the work you're doing, man. I love that you're helping get chiropractic out to the masses. And I hope the listeners will, take the next step to contact you guys and start the process, because we're very excited about it in our offices. So thank you, Dr. Andrew, for being here. Appreciate everything you do. So all our remarkable CEOs out there, please remember to tune in each week to the Remarkable CEO podcast. I hope everyone has a blessed day, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.